Hey, man. I'm a here.
Radio.
Welcome to Rage Against the Regime at Blog Talk Radio. To call in, dial 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. I was born in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. I'll bleed American blood until the end of my days. The red, white, and blue, these colors never fade. Rage against the regime.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rage Against the Regime with kc-massey and James. Another day, another dollar. Still waiting on the government. What else is new? What's going on, James?
Oh, man. I was going through my Facebook posts and stuff, and somebody sent me the Soggy Bottom Boys, and it was, that tune of Man of Sorrow. And before I could listen to the music and watch the video and that, there was a commercial on there, and I never ever listen to those commercials. It gets skip the ad. Man, I'm right there with that mouse. I'm waiting on that dog. Man, when can I skip it? That commercial came on. It's the first one that I have ever listened to and watched all the way through. I about laughed my frickin' ass off, and it's called Poo-Pourri. Dude, if you get a chance, just watch the commercial. It's funnier than all shit. Well, funnier than heck. But that was a fun part of the day. No, it's not an ad for Poo-Pourri. I'm not plugging it. I ain't selling it. It was just funny as hell in a sad time. I'm telling you, man, it was funny. It was absolutely funny. I'm sitting here going through shit, going through things and that, and I'm all downed out and everything else. Man, I'm listening to some good music. I love that movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and that, and that came on there, and I'm oh crud, another ad, but it was hilarious. Just think of all the poo-poo jokes that you can do, and a spray that you spray in the toilet before you take a dump to get rid of the mess, the stink, and all the left-handed jokes that men tell. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I've been trying to find it again on YouTube so I can post it again. I really enjoyed that ad. It was funny. I guess I'm just a little bit base. Oh well. Dude, ain't heard a word from the attorney yet.
No, I hadn't heard a word, man. Trying to get a hold of him. I just had Anthony Bosworth call me. He'll be calling in here in a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. The judge hadn't issued an order yet. It's really frustrating when you've been sitting here dealing with this for, over 6 months now, and, they've been wrong the whole time. Finally called them on it, proved it, showed it, and then they still can't rule on it. It's beyond what I can believe. I just cannot believe that they can allow this to just keep going, man. I mean, it's ridiculous.
They know that they're going to be butthurt over it. They lost it, and that they're going to try to stretch it out. They're going to try to make you go off before it's time to go and all this other kind of shit. It's just part of the psychological, shit that they're trying to put you through. But when you get through to the other side, and that I was reading one of your posts about another militia group that had won and been acquitted of what they had been tried for, and that, but they wouldn't allow them to continue with the suit because with the civil rights suit because there's such a high threshold, proving wrongdoing and misconduct and stuff on the part of a federal officer. And I can see how they would have had a problem with that. because they were, the Fed said, oh, they're talking about, shooting a cop and shooting other officers as they arrive and all this other kind of crap, and that. But this is 180 degrees out of that, dude. It's where they didn't have any way to prove it. You got it proved. Their own logs and everything showed that what they were doing to you was a setup, and that you weren't down there doing, in criminal activity or anything like that. You weren't talking about going and wasting people and all that kind of shit. I mean, man, they are so fucked.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, I'm the one that's fucked because they got me held up for no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the one that I didn't even break the law in the first place. I didn't do anything illegal in the first place, and they've had my life upside down for over 6 months. I mean, that's what people need to realize. You don't even have to do a shitting thing wrong. All it takes is some overzealous fucking asshole, and now all of a sudden your life is upside down. There is no justice. Writ of habeas corpus, which has all but died in our court system, used to compel them. The onus of proof was on them. If they could not bring forth proof, they had to drop it. But not anymore. Now they can just keep tagging you along, dragging you along. And, it doesn't stop.
And let's get back to the part of bail, okay? You were granted bail, okay? It was a sizable number and that, but all you had to do was sign your signature and that, and your property was, put up for your bail. And that, but on top of that, what did they do? It's not just your property that's under forfeiture. They didn't let you, go anywhere. I'm sorry, they did. They made your home your prison. Now, how fucked up is
all
that?
Did was save,
when the place that you
money.
sacrificed, the place that you fucking sacrificed, and that to go and do your fucking duty is now your damn prison. How twisted is that shit? And you know what?
Yeah, and it saves them money
they're
because
laughing their motherfucking asses off about it.
Yep.
Well, you're going to get the last laugh, bro. You're going to have the last laugh because you're going to have whatever little bond that they had to put up and everything else that their little association and shit covers for them, which it's like $1 million a head. And every one of them, every last one of them that was there on that operation had anything to do with that operation. And that includes the guy that did the shooting at John, and that because his action caused this. He is the root cause of this action. That guy's toast. Everybody that was there is toast. All their names are up on the list. There's got to be 30 fucking people.
Yeah, and he's the one that committed the crime. Hey man,
exactly.
Anthony just called in, so I'm gonna
cool.
bring Anthony Bosworth on. Hold on just a second. Anthony, I'm gonna bring you on, sir. Anthony.
Hey, Casey. Hey, Casey.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and you?
Oh, just still suffering at federal tyranny.
Yeah, I know what you mean there, brother.
What they ever do with, last I heard on your case, they didn't know quite what to charge you with, but they wasn't going to drop the charges even though they wasn't sure what the charges were.
Well, we went in for my first hearing there, and what a mess. I mean, I couldn't even get the judge to tell me what was the cause for the charge that they were charging me with. They're trying to charge me with a class, what did they call it, a Class C misdemeanor, $5,000 fine, 5 years probation, 30 days in prison, for failure to comply with a lawful order. When I questioned the judge what was the lawful order I failed to comply with, they refused to tell me.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, how can you refuse a lawful order when you don't even know what the lawful order was?
Yeah, that's the funny thing is when they asked me how I pled, I told the judge, well, how can I rightfully plead not guilty or guilt? I said I might be guilty of something, but I don't know what it is that you're asking me to plead to, and they wouldn't answer, and I ended up finally telling the judge, I'm going to have to plead not guilty since I don't know the charge. Yeah, I mean it was a mess. I mean I went in there and I was going to represent myself because I know what they're going to do. They're going to try to run me out of money before I can actually get to court, and which I've defended myself in federal court before, and the judge refused to let me defend myself. He appointed a what do they call it? A
provisional attorney.
Yeah, they
court-appointed attorney.
They ordered a provisional attorney, is what they called it.
Oh, okay.
And
is that is that the one that came on the little yellow bus?
Let me tell you, I told the provisional attorney I had no interest of having somebody represent me that was on their payroll, and basically what they told me is I had 3 days to pursue my own representation, or else it would be appointed to me, and I would be denied the right to choose representation of my own choosing.
Yeah, okay.
Which is crazy
works.
because we haven't even been given a court date yet. We have a status hearing tentatively June 18th. And then they come back and they called me back and said, although I wouldn't even be getting a court date at least until 3 months after June.
And these are filed in federal court?
Filed in federal court.
Well, see, the federal court has the Speedy Trial Act. They have to bring you to trial in less than that. I think it's 3 months, 90 days to bring you to trial,
yep,
unless you waive your right to a speedy trial.
Okay, you ready for this one, Casey? I made it very clear I do not waive any rights, and I was informed by the court that not only was I being denied a speedy trial, I was also being denied a trial by jury. What? Yeah. They got an
Man, our government.
Yeah, they definitely got an axe to grip.
Well, they're trying to poke people like me and you in the face because we've stood up above the bushes and they don't like us, because we're not scared of them. We're not scared of their tyrannical rule. We know the law. We know the Constitution. We know our rights. And we refuse to bow down. We're not the kind of people that they can incite with fear. I mean, that's what they're doing, just like the whole Boston thing. Everybody keeps failing to realize, Benjamin Franklin warned us long ago, those who would give up their liberty for security deserve neither. And they're trying to make everybody run and scared and hide and look for the police and the military to protect us.
And the problem here with that there, Casey, is anytime we go to the government for help, we grant them more control.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're not above, putting you in a situation to make everybody think that they need help. They're not above that, I mean, if they definitely aren't. They want something, they're going to herd you into asking them. It's just like with Jade Helm here. They said, well, we were invited to come to your county. No, that's not how it worked. They went down there and they told the county commissioners and that, we want to come here, but you need to invite us to come here. That's what you need to do. You need to invite us here. Okay? So then they brought the letters, of invitation with them. Here, you sign this, and then you've invited us here, and this is how we're going to proceed from that. Well, they got away with that once. They got away with it once, and then whenever they come up with Bastrop to go, well, then there's like 200 people in there. And that it was crowded, and it was supposed to start at 7 a.m. and that, and then they figured, okay, well, we'll set it off to 11, and there won't be anybody here, and everybody was, 11 o'clock, they had a packed house, standing room only, and people outside. And well, what do you mean you asked them here? You didn't ask us if you could ask them here. And that was just on the county commissioners. And I guarantee you, there's going to be some guys get their lunch ticket punched and sent home with a pink slip over that stuff.
Well, like I said earlier, there was probably some federal tax dollars offered to those commissioners for the invitation also.
Something was.
Oh, absolutely.
Either that or they had a dirty laundry list they didn't want aired. Something happened. I guarantee you. Because they sure as hell didn't ask the people there. And that came out, in the courts. And I found this out through word of mouth and everything else. And on InfoWars, they had a nice thing on it. They had 2 guys there from InfoWars in that, and it was just amazing at the way that they went about. We were invited. Now, motherfucker, you come down here and said, this is federal government, and we want to come down here, and you need to invite me. Shit, I used to have a friend that did that. You need to invite me over that time. You know what, you big fat motherfucker, go somewhere else.
That's like when the feds took
me
to jail.
We're gonna be spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars on groceries and shit here while we're here. Really?
The feds, when they took me to jail, the feds, when they took me to jail, kept trying to convince me that federal law superseded state law. And I referred them back to the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. And, that don't mean anything. Okay, jackass.
Well, let's just remember here, Casey, that's what got me over in Spokane when I got arrested, is I was actually going over for a 10th Amendment rally because the federal government was overstepping their bounds here in Washington State and imposing charges against Washington citizens for doing something that is completely legal in Washington State. And that's what I was doing there in Spokane, was supporting a 10th Amendment rally.
Yeah, some people have made the wrong. I've heard some people say that you were there for a Second Amendment, but you were there for a 10th Amendment rally. You were just showing your Second Amendment support by being there with the rifle.
Correct. Basically what ended up happening there, Casey, is we got contacted by the 10th Amendment group wanting us to come and support them, bring in the numbers that we had with the Second Amendment group, and so we offered to show up with some of our people and everything to bolster their numbers and support them. And, that's what actually ended up happening. And keep in mind, I was not the only armed person there. I was the only one grabbed. I was the only one arrested. And we had Homeland Security that simply state that they picked me up on facial recognition. And it was funny. When we were down there here a couple weeks ago for the hearing, we weren't even at the federal courthouse. We were down the block across the street at a coffee house and getting some coffee and waiting for the time to come around. And when we walked out of the coffee shop, Homeland Security met me on the corner.
Yeah, I liked your additional video when you went back and you had your whole group there and you stood in the same spot again, right in front of all of them, armed again. So did everybody else.
Exactly. Well, and that's the third time we've been back there since. And here's a shocker for you. On the day we were going to the hearing, while we were en route, because it's a little over 4 hours, almost 5 hours away from my home where Spokane is, and so we're en route, and I get a phone call, and it was a message being delivered for me, or to me, from the FBI. They don't call me. They call somebody else, and they leave a message to be transferred to me, to be told to me that all I have to do is just plead guilty and this will all go away. Now, this is the fourth or fifth time that's been told to me, but even now the FBI is reaching out to acquaintances of mine, trying to convince them to convince me to just plead guilty.
Yeah, but here's something I'm sure you're aware of the repercussions, but see, like you mentioned earlier, you said it was a Class C misdemeanor, but you said they were going to give you 5 years of probation. Well, the problem with that, Anthony, is that if you were to accept that, you are now going to be under federal law violation if they catch you with a gun, because they're trying to use 922 as a means of gun control. And under 922, anybody who's been convicted of a crime with a sentence exceeding 1 year, you having a 5-year probation would be exceeding the 1 year, and then they would try to come after you if you ever had a firearm again. And they would use the same charge against you that they're using against me.
Exactly, and see, that was part of the discussion with, apparently a part of the discussion with the FBI when they called an acquaintance of mine, is he basically told them, you guys started this, you only have 2 options, and these are the only 2 options you have, either killing or back down, because he's going to keep coming, and he's going to keep bringing more people, and sooner or later you're going to have to do something. And and that's what we told the Homeland Security. That's what we told the FBI from day one. You started this fight. We are completely legal in everything we did. Your only option is to back down, and you're not going to like it if you choose your other option.
Yeah, well, I feel the same way like in my case, because I didn't do anything illegal. I was not under federal law or federal jurisdiction according to the law and the Constitution. I was not under federal jurisdiction. I was not on land that belonged to the government, and it was not ceded jurisdiction to the government. I was on private Texas land, compliant with Texas law, and the federal government wants to try to come after me. The federal government knows no bounds. They don't care about the law. They don't care about our rights, and they exhibit that every day. They just keep making it worse and worse, and they just keep hammering us every chance they get, especially somebody who, like yourself, will stand up and tell them, kiss my ass, you fucker. I'm not running from you, and I'm not backing down.
That's a fact also, Casey, and we need to also remember it's just not the federal government doing it. Our states are involved in it. Our states are welcoming it within their borders. Our states are doing nothing to stop it. Here in Washington, our governor has done absolutely nothing to stop it. We have written letters to every single sheriff in our state asking them to support us. Not one sheriff has responded. We've written letters to all the military commanders within our state asking them to support us. Not one of them has responded. We wrote a letter to the general in Washington State. He has not even responded. Basically, their default that the complete system is broke from the top down. We've got
some really bad distortion going.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Anthony.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better now. Yeah, you were chopping out.
Okay, we've got a pretty good windstorm here right now.
Yeah, I called my state representative 2 weeks ago and tried to talk to him. Now, bear in mind that he knows me personally. I helped a campaign for him and get him elected 3 different election cycles. And when I called him, do you know he had the gall to tell me that we were vigilantes and that we were outside the law and we were causing law enforcement problems for doing what we were doing on the border. And the reason that the government, Texas government, isn't saying anything or doing anything is because we were doing something we had no business doing. The only militia that they recognize is the Texas State Guard. That's what my own representative told me, that we were vigilantes.
Well, I'm here to tell you, Casey, and you know this, that the National Guards are not militias. They are funded by the federal government.
Yeah, what he's talking about is the Texas State Guard, which is a militia.
Okay, so Texas still has a state guard.
The Texas State Guard falls under the National Guard because my dad was a part of it, and my dad was sent to Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm as the
right.
Texas
But this is a different branch. This is a different part of it, man. I researched it, and it's they don't have anything to do with the Texas National Guard. The federal government doesn't have any say-so over them or to them. They only answer to the governor. That's it. Now, if they are...
But there is also two forms of militia as stated in the Constitution, the organized and unorganized. The organized is the one that is under the governor's authority. The unorganized is not under any authority other than we the people.
Right, that's us. We are the unorganized militia.
Correct. But we also can be called to duty by the governor also, as even the unorganized militia.
Yes.
That's a fact. And, man, we were wishing he would. You know,
yeah, I mean, it's crazy when our own states won't even support us. We are lucky here in Washington, though, because we do have several state representatives that have been standing publicly at our side at all these rallies and publicly coming out and speaking on it. We were just at a preparedness rally here a couple days ago where one of our state reps, Matt Shea, was up there, and he was talking about the overreach of the federal government and detentions of Washington citizens. We have Elizabeth Scott that was standing at our side during a lot of these rallies and publicly speaking about it. When we removed the communist flag over our Capitol here several weeks ago, we had state representatives backing us up and fighting on our side for it. So we're lucky there. But here's the problem, though, is the government entities at all levels are so corrupt, it really doesn't matter. Even if you have state representatives standing at your side, they ignore them, too. They threaten them, too. I know of a state representative here in this state that has repeatedly been threatened over and over for supporting us, for being there with us. And he's a good man, good patriot, and he stands his ground, and he shows up every time, and he doesn't take any guff from him. You know, it's quite the thing. And, you know, we started doing a lot of this stuff on the I Will Not Comply rallies and stuff, you know, when they passed Initiative 594 in this state that makes it where we can't even hand a gun to our wife in a hunting expedition without committing a crime in this state now. And we've openly defied that thousands and thousands of times. We had patriots from Oregon come up and stand with us, patriots from Nevada and Arizona, Alabama come up and stand with us. And now, here just the other day, Oregon has now got the same law passed in their state. And so now they have a complete restoration of transfers in their state. And we're going down there May 16th and standing with them at their capital.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Because, like you explained, if nobody is paying attention to the law and it's unconstitutional to begin with, and you keep citing them like you were telling us, yeah, I've already done this, man. Here's a video of me doing it. Prosecute me. Go ahead. But you're going to have to prosecute everybody else that was out there at the same time. And they can't do it. They won't do it. And that's the only way. Man, when you told me about that and how you guys come up with that, shoot, son, that was smart.
Yeah, it's a shame that our own government doesn't care about the constitutionality, the governing document of this country. They don't even care anymore. The founding principles, the oath that they swear to defend the Constitution means nothing to them anymore. It's all about their dictatorship and their totalitarian control of we the people. And it was never intended that way.
Now, and they think that just because we have been, or they're going to tell us, well, you've been laboring under a misconception all these years. Misconception, my ass. Well, this is how we're doing it now. Well, I don't care how you think you're doing it now, dude. You know, I mean, it's time to recall him. It's like the representative that you talked to, Casey. I don't know how hard it is to get a petition together to have him recalled, but, dude, let's draw the papers up. Let's see if we can't get a petition.
Yeah, I got you back, Anthony. I saw you dropped out.
Yeah, they've kicked me off twice. They must not like us talking there, Casey.
No, they don't like when you and I come together. We get too much information that people want to hear. The government doesn't like it.
Well, you and I talked about this before, but you know the important thing here is the people of different states have to stand together, and they have to cover each other's backs, and they have to respond to each other's fights, or else they will outpower us.
That's a fact.
And you know, Anthony, have you got any idea how it affects? It's not illegal for us to transfer guns back and forth here in Texas and in other states and how can they make that illegal for you up there when it's legal for us here?
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about Washington first.
Yeah.
In Washington State, it was a voter initiative. So a certain percentage of the voters that actually voted that year, you know, this last year, in the election, voted for it to become law. So what we had is we had a large amount of conservatives that didn't vote. They just didn't go to the polls and they didn't vote. And on our state is split into two. We've got a very liberal side that controls us by the numbers, and then we've got a very conservative side that, you know, they're conservative by nature, so they leave people alone, so they don't tell people what they can and can't do. Well, conservatives need to come out of that mindset and start standing up for themselves and voting. Well, that being said, here's the issue in Washington State. It doesn't matter, and I've talked with Casey about this several times already. It doesn't matter if 100% of the residents of Washington voted to make it law. It's still illegal because no amount of vote can override the Constitution and the constitutional rights of another. So
because
regulating people's right to weapons is a violation of the Constitution. So even with a people's initiative, they're in violation of the law simply because they attempted to vote away the rights of another.
Well,
and shouldn't they be prosecuted for that?
Well, the state's elected officials were wrong for ever bringing it forward to be put on the ballot. It should have never been on the ballot because it's unconstitutional, and therefore, if it's unconstitutional, it cannot be law.
And on top of that, it's a republic, and that means that no matter, like you said, if they had 100%, it don't matter. It's a republic. Republic. It's a big difference from a democracy.
Here in Washington State, to protect us with state sovereignty, we have the right to the People's Initiative, which basically says even if all of our representatives from top to bottom become corrupt and they pass a law, the people get the final say. So we have the initiative right here to override them with a vote. And it's to preserve our state sovereignty over corrupt officials. Well, that's fine and dandy, and I support that, but here's what we got to remember. Just because we have a initiative process here in Washington State does not give us the authority as people to violate the Constitution. We have no more right to violate the Constitution than the state officials do. So It doesn't matter that it's voted in by a certain set of people in Washington State. Not one person has the right to violate the rights of another according to the Constitution. Now, Oregon, on the other hand, they didn't do it through an initiative. Their House voted it in. They didn't even give the people the right to vote or the right to have an opinion on it. They just forced it through.
Oh, man.
And from my understanding, Oregon's House is completely controlled by Democrats, although every Republican and to include 3 Democrats voted against it, but there was enough Democratic vote that they still lost.
But as it being unconstitutional, couldn't some of the Republicans have filed some kind of a motion saying this is unconstitutional, you can't do it? Isn't there some kind of oversight that they have to keep an unconstitutional law from being passed?
Well, I'll tell you what the oversight is. The oversight's with the sheriffs. The sheriffs should have went in there and arrested every single one of them. I mean, the last time I checked, to violate somebody's civil rights is a violation, is a crime, isn't it not? To violate the Constitution is a crime, is it not?
Yes, it absolutely
is.
They're sworn to uphold the Constitution, as are all the elected officials who swore an oath toward and defend the Constitution.
So does that mean that the people need to go in and place them under arrest?
That's what I would say needs to happen with the support of those sheriffs. Well, I'll tell you about Oregon. They got one up on us that we didn't have here in Washington State at the time we were fighting it in the beginning. Is they already have 5 or 6 sheriffs that are saying they will not enforce it. They will not comply. They've already, before it was even voted on, the sheriffs were telling them, so we're not going to enforce this. This is illegal. We're not going to stand for this. But that's as far as they went so far. The sheriffs, they're just talking right now. They're not doing anything.
Wow.
And in the meantime, we all as people have to suffer through their tyranny.
Well, that or else we stand up and say we won't comply, just like we did here in Washington, and that's what we're helping them with down in Oregon right now, is we're telling them, stand your ground, don't comply. We got your back. We will bring all of our people down there, and we will stand with you. You stood with us. Now it's our turn to stand with you. Stand your ground. But we can't fight it on our own. It's your state. But you make the stand. We'll bring the numbers. We'll bring Washington down there to stand with you. Because the last time I checked, the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution was the same for Oregon as it was for Washington. So I would say we're defending the same thing. It's my Constitution they're violating just like it's Oregon's.
What's been going on with the Sugar Pine Mine thing? Have you got any new info on that, or what's happening there?
Well, for my last discussion with the mine owner and the Galice Mining District Board, they're filing their paperwork. Of course, the BLM is not responding to it. They did 6 requests for the paperwork, and it just doesn't come through. Another miner went to Portland and requested the paperwork just anonymously. He was given a whole packet of information on that mining situation there that the Galice Mining Board has been requested from the Oregon government months. And the BLM keeps saying they don't have it, they have no access to it, but yet somebody anonymously walks in there in Portland to the headquarters and gets the whole thing immediately.
Well, what's the difference? Because I noticed, like you said, the Galil mine, but now I saw the other day that somebody, the Oath Keepers, are putting out a call for the Sugar Pine mine. Is that the same deal? Is it a different deal? I mean, do you know what's going on there? Because they're calling for patriots again to come stand guard. I don't understand what's going on.
It's the same mining district. You've got the Sugar Pine Mine, which was the original name of the Green Bluff Mine, and the Black I believe the Black Diamond Mine. It's all the same mine, just by different names through the different eras when it was sold. But Galice Mining District is the area governed by the mining district. That mine is actually within that mining district. So when you hear the Galice Mining District, it's just the district that mine is in. but it's the same mine.
Oh, okay. So why are they calling out for more people to come show up? I mean, there hasn't been, to my knowledge, any issue.
No, there has been absolutely no standoff whatsoever. There's been no face-to-face confrontation at all. Basically, what the local oath keepers are doing is they're attempting to secure the mine to make sure nothing happens to the mine until they get their day in court. So they're basically looking for teams to rotate in and out to give other teams breaks. They've kind of changed their tune over the past several weeks. Of course, you've seen it as well as I did. In the beginning, they were saying it was a standoff and all hands on deck, and they were trying to make it into a Bundy thing, and it wasn't. And now they've kind of calmed down a little bit and actually looking at it in reality. It's a total different kind of event. There is no standoff. There was last week, there was a chopper that kept landing on the ridges above the mine, which threw up a whole bunch of red flags, and they started frantically calling for people. And later they found out that it was a private citizen doing touchdown and takeoff training when he didn't have clearance to be landing in the wilderness area, but he was doing it anyway. And so that set off some flags. We have different thoughts on what was really going on, but that was the official story, is that it was a private citizen doing it. But right now, from my understanding, the local oath keepers is asking for, financial support, and then for support in goods and stuff like that to help feed and maintain the guard that's there.
But just in my opinion, I would think that the mines should be willing to put that kind of stuff up if they're wanting to have the protection. I mean, everybody else in America, if you want private security, you have to pay for that security one way or another, and the minimal thing that they could do is provide food and shelter. I mean, I don't think that's a cause that the, quote, patriots should be having to foot the bill for.
Absolutely.
Well, I would agree to a point with you on that. Sometimes some of these places just can't afford that kind of funds. From what I understand by my research on this mine, yes, it's an operational mine, but it's literally just it's not much more than a family-operated little mine. I mean, it's a hole in the ground that they're walking in, bending over, and dragging out ore. I mean, it's really old school. It's not a great, big, huge mining operation with, millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment and stuff.
That's exactly why they're targeting them, too, because
exactly. And here's the thing is, I know exactly what they're going through because I'm a native from Idaho. That's where I was born and raised, is in Idaho, in the state of Idaho. And my grandfather and dad and uncle were miners. We had mining claims. And they attempted, the BLM down there attempted to burn us out for years. So they burned our neighbors out quite often. And, back in the mid to late 80s when I was a young man down there, they attempted to burn us out quite a few times. They didn't actually get it done until, I think about the mid-90s after my dad had passed and my grandfather had passed and my uncle, being wheelchair-bound, the BLM snuck in there in the middle of the night and took cans of gas and burned our cabins down on our mine. And so I know exactly what these miners are going through.
And I also saw where the BLM was bringing in outside contractors.
Yes, we have confirmed that there is outside contractors in the area. Of course, the BLM is denying that they have hired any more law enforcement of any kind.
They're not law enforcement, dude. These are contractors.
Exactly.
These are our kind of contractors, left side contractors.
Exactly. And just like they did at the Bundy, we have confirmed there is contractors on site. They've been hanging pretty low here lately and everything, so not much action from them and everything. And I'm hoping that we brought enough public attention to this event that they're not going to have any of this sneaking in the middle of the night, burning cabins down and everything. But I wouldn't put it past them for trying to start something, trying to make it look like the miners started a fight and they fought, and the BLM fought back. I'm hoping that the Oath Keepers down there will keep their cool and keep their heads during that.
I just saw something about Louis Gohmert, our Texas representative, is sounding the alarm about a possible military takeover of Texas.
Yeah, I've seen that a little earlier myself, something about that he's going to use the Texas National Guard to keep an eye on Jade Helm.
No, this is Louis Gohmert, our federal representative.
Okay.
And let me read a little of this to you. It says, over the past few weeks, my office has been inundated with calls referring to Jade Helm 15 military exercise scheduled to take place between July 15th and September 15th, 2015. This military practice has some concerns that the U.S. Army is preparing for a modern-day martial law. Clearly, I can understand these concerns when leaders within the current administration believe that major threats to the country include those who support the Constitution, are military veterans, or even cling to guns or religion. Patriotic Americans have reason to be concerned. We have seen people working in this administration use their government positions to persecute people with conservative beliefs in God, country, and notions such as honor and self-reliance. Because of the contempt and antipathy for the true patriots or even Christian saints persecuted for their Christian beliefs, it is no surprise that those who have experienced or noticed such a persecution are legitimately suspicious. Whoa. That's pretty powerful, Louis Gohmert. That's pretty powerful. Having served in the U.S. military, I can understand why military officials have goals to see if groups of special forces can move around a civilian population without being noticed and can handle various threat scenarios. In military science classes or in my years on active duty, I have participated in or observed military exercises. However, we never named an existing city or state as hostile. We would use fictitious names before we would do such a thing. Once I observed the map depicting hostile, permissive, and uncertain states and locations, I was rather appalled at that the hostile areas amazingly have a Republican majority, cling to their guns and religion, and believe in the sanctity of the United States Constitution. When the federal government begins to even practice games or exercises to consider any U.S. city or state hostile, control, and trying to retake it, the message becomes extremely calloused and suspicious. Such labeling tends to make people who have grown weary of the federal government overreach become suspicious of whether their big brother government anticipates certain states may start another civil war or be overtaken by a foreign radical Islamist element, which have been reported to be just across our border. Such labeling by a government that is normally not allowed to use military force against its own citizens is an affront to the residents of that particular state. Considered as hostile as if the government is trying to provoke a fight with them. The map exercise needs to be changed. The names on the map need to be changed. And the tone of the exercise to be completely revamped so the federal government is not intentionally participating in war games against its own states. That's Louis Gohmert. I think you just told him to shut the fuck up and get off that shit.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be like Anthony's guys. You know, there's some good guys in his state legislature that'll stand up, but they're shunned and pushed away. And Louis probably, you know, either he's grandstanding so that he gets some political recognition, but his words are falling on deaf ears. It's not gonna make a difference, man. They don't care about us anymore. I mean, look at what's happening in our country. Look at what they did in Baltimore last week. I mean, they openly admitted they allowed those rioters to destroy that city. The mayor allowed it. The mayor had the police stand down. And in return, we had people take hundreds and millions of dollars worth of damage.
Well, and here's the thing about that, Casey, is what they did there is they set us up to beg them to come in and save us, to beg for more. They don't want to impose martial law on us. They want us to beg for it.
Oh, no, dude. They're going to ride in on a white Charger, and that white Charger's name is Federal Police Department. You don't have to worry about these local thugs being so oppressive on your staff now. We got the Federal Police Department right here at your service. No problem. We got your back, baby. We got it covered. My ass. Kiss my ass, you sorry son of a bitches.
Well, I agree totally.
Nothing but a fucking rigged game, man.
They're trying to push us into begging for that security. But like, you know, we stated earlier, Benjamin Franklin has warned us over 250 years ago about that. We should be securing ourselves. I promise you, if a group of thugs was to come through my area, we the people would shut them down. We don't need the cops to do that. I would be in the forefront of shutting them down.
Exactly, Casey. And, you know, that's the one thing that our group has done here in Washington State repeatedly in all the things we've done is we have policed our own. We've actually got kudos from local law enforcement and the state police. When we run in an event, they say it's the safest thing they've ever seen. We control all of our the people in there. If they get out of hand, we shut them down. We don't even let our own people get out of hand. And, you know, what we really need to get people to understand is they're not here for us. They're not going to support us. They're not going to protect us. It's up to ourselves to do it. And we must pull together and make a stand. You know, we've been making a stand here in Washington now for a better part of 7-8 months now. I mean, we've been hitting them hard left and right. Every time they turn left, we hit them. If they turn right, we get them again. We're not giving them any slack. It's wearing on us, but we're staying right at it. I mean, we've even got this Arms Expo coming up here, Casey, here in June. And we started planning this way back in December. And when they said, oh, it's just a bunch of rallies, and when they're done with this, they're going to go home and they're going to quit this fight. Well, we're not. We're continuing to put it in their face. This Arms Expo coming up, Casey, it's in defiance of I-594, the new state law. We're actually throwing out a complete Arms Expo in the state. And the whole Arms Expo is centered around defiance of the law. And we're bringing in people from out of state. We're bringing in Mike Vanderboe from Alabama, you know, the founder of the modern-day 3 Percenters. We're bringing in Cope Reynolds, a dear friend of mine from Arizona. He has Survival Circle down there. He's a handgun trainer down bench.
Are you there?
Great guy. We're bringing in pastors.
They're cutting you in and out, Anthony.
Boy, are they ever.
Anthony starts.
They don't want anybody to know these folks are coming.
They don't want anybody to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to know that you got reinforcements coming. They don't want to know that you're not the only one in the country that feels that way about this. You're not alone, man. You're not alone.
Well, they booted Anthony.
Well, he'll be back in just a minute.
Yeah.
He'll be back in just a minute. And you know, and it's just like whenever they came and told these these county commissioners and that you need to invite us here. That's what they're trying to do to get this federal police force going. They've already tried to. They're trying to start it up in Fort Worth. It's one of their designated areas that they want to go to, and they've got it on the books. But folks in Fort Worth, they're not having any of it. Everybody I've talked to has said, no, hell no, we don't want that here. And so they're going to have a pretty tough road to hoe. And it's going to be the same thing. Well, you asked us to be here. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We can all, who ever had an experience with the government, attest to whose side they're on, and it's not we the people's side, that's for sure. Anthony, that's one thing that I can say about Anthony is, man, he has really made a difference, and he's been a commendable stand-up leader in the state of Washington with him and his group. His wife, Maria, she's also a very staunch patriot, and she's been a stand-up part of his group. They got a lot of good people that come together. And here's Anthony. He's back. Anthony, the government, I guess they didn't want you here. But go ahead and start over.
Apparently, man, they're hard today. Can you hear me,
Go ahead and tell us about your... Yeah, I got you. Go ahead and start over about your expo, your arms expo thing going on. That's something that's a hell of a good deal going on.
As I was saying earlier, we're putting on a statewide arms expo here in defiance of I-594, and we're encouraging constitutional buying, selling, and swapping and trading of guns. And we have vowed to keep all law enforcement out with our security. We want citizens to come buy, sell, and trade their guns. It's kind of a arms expo preparedness rally. We're going to have classes on stuff like living the life of and how to apply liberty to everyday life. We're going to have canning of foods, beginning food preparations. We're going to have an intel class, how us as patriots can start our own intel groups and move intel back and forth. We're going to have classes, comm classes, communication classes. Man, we're going to have natural food classes. We're going to have it's a 2-day event. There's going to be overnight camping. We've got live music. Jordan Page, great patriot, great singer. He's going to be there putting on live music for us. We're going to have a lot of kids' activities while we're there. It's going to be great. We have a local tactical range bring pallets of ammunition for us. A week later, Corp Reynolds is going to be putting on a gunfighting class at a range up at my house a couple miles away. I mean, liberty is starting to blossom here in Washington. And so if anybody can make it out to the Arms Expo, there's overnight camping. There'll be food vendors on site. There'll be arms vendors on site. Everybody's going to be buying and selling guns. And I will bet you probably at least 90% of everybody there is going to be packing. It's going to be a great event, and it's non-compliant. So we told the county we're not getting permits. You're not sending in your health inspectors or anything. This is private land, and we'll do as we choose.
Good job. And having the people that are coming from all across the United States that's where you got cut out was telling about the people coming from different places in the United States to let you know that you're not by yourselves. You guys aren't up there, just facing that in Washington State, naked. You got other people watching and in their prayers and everything. It's just fantastic about how it's working up there. It's absolutely amazing.
Well,
we've got a great team up here, and we keep our heads. We don't do stupid crap, and we're focused, and we think about what we're doing. That's one of the reasons why some of our state representatives come and stand with us, because they know that we're not going to pull some stupid stuff and make them look bad or make them regret being involved with us. We've got two that are coming and staying with us, Matt Shea and Graham Hunt. They're going to be camping on site, giving speeches. They're going to be buying and selling guns themselves.
Hey, what more can you ask for, man?
That's one thing I've tried to do ever since I first was put in communication with you, man. Is I'm highly supportive, and I can't think of anybody in the entire country that is doing more for freedom and liberty than you are. And I'm constantly throwing your name out there, trying to get people to follow the model that you guys have set up. You've got a great group of people. You've got a wonderful wife that's very supportive and very involved. Hell, I loved it too. I saw the video of your kids with their weapons cleaning, and that was awesome. That was outstanding. I raised my kids with firearms too. My youngest son shot an AK-47 the first time at 5. So, I've raised my kids with guns, around guns, just like I was raised with guns, around guns. And that's what's kept this country free.
Exactly. KC, the great thing about that is one of the videos that we posted was not one of the best videos. We actually been holding off until our youngest daughter gets quite efficient with it. Right now she is 9 years old, and she's the littlest of the girls that are assembling and disassembling those guns. She has got the Glock 19 9mm. She's got the clear, disassemble, reassemble, re-clear function check down to 13 seconds.
Damn right.
And so we're getting ready to do another video of her doing that whole event there, just to show people that you can teach kids to be safe, and you can teach kids to be mechanically functional with a weapon better than most adults are today, because they weren't raised around guns. We can show a 9-year-old girl that is quite small for her age can disassemble and reassemble. Well, I'll tell you flat out, Casey, there ain't an adult in our group that can beat her. She's faster than any one of us. Right? Because she's been trained from a very young age. She's good at it.
Well, yeah.
One thing that a lot of people forget is we used to have firearms training in our schools up until the 60s. I mean, we used to teach kids firearm safety. That's why we didn't have all the problems that we have with guns now. Now they've made it so taboo. And, oh, good Lord, don't let CPS find out you've let your child touch a firearm, because now you're a bad parent. No, you're actually a good parent, because, just like my kids, I raised my kids to understand what a gun's function is and what it does. And so there was no fascination. They didn't want to hey, let's play with it and check it out, because I let my kids inspect, disassemble, reassemble, and fire weapons from an early age. So there was no Mortal Kombat or whatever one of these video games where all they do is see it on the game and play with it. My kids grew up knowing real life firearm safety. And none of my kids have ever had an issue playing with guns, ever.
And you'll find that with everybody that has raised their kids that way. You'll find all their children are that way, and their children's children are going to be that way. That's a wonderful thing about it, and that's what is at the root of this evil of trying to take away the Second Amendment, and that they are trying to take away our children's inherent rights that they were blessed with. And it's insidious, man. It's just friggin' insidious. It's like, what is this, Moms Against Gun Violence or whatever it is. Now they're trying to say that, that the shooting in Garland is a perfect example of why you shouldn't have guns, because, what the hell?
Well, let me chime in on that real quick, because you'll get a kick out of this, Casey. You'll get a real big kick out of this. Here a couple weeks ago, we heard that Moms Against Gun Violence was doing a march here in our state. And they put out a public event with all this gun talk and all these gun radicals in Washington State we're still brave. We're still going to go through this march. We're unarmed. We're going to be at the mercy of these gun crazies. And man, that's about all these gun crazies. You know what we did, Casey? Take a guess what we did in Washington State. We said we will not put up with that. We will not allow that in our state. We are going to come in. We're going to protect the Moms Against Violence March. They have the right, First Amendment right to their march. We are going to arm ourselves. We're going to go down there loaded for bear, and we're going to be their private security, and we're going to protect them from these gun crazies we're hearing about.
Absolutely.
And the Moms Against Violence Act, heard about that? Do you know what they did? They're like, oh, my God, we got to cancel our event. They're coming with guns to protect us. We don't want them to protect us. And they canceled the whole event. And from now on, they're looking for moms in homes that will have home parties so they can do it in the privacy of their homes. We totally took the steam out of their flags. They were trying to play us off as gun crazies. Well, guess what we did? We armed ourselves and we went and protected them from the gun crazies.
Oh, my God.
We have totally revamped the way we fight them.
Instead of going back to having their little sex party toys.
To say that. Would they have an anti-gun rally? We go and support them. You have the right to say that. It's your First Amendment right. And we're going to exercise our Second Amendment rights by being there and protecting their First Amendment rights to say you don't like us having guns. But guess what? We're not trying to take your rights away. We're coming there to defend your rights. And you know what? They do not know what to do with it.
Yeah, their little heads turn into pink mist.
We have totally revamped the way it's been done for 30 years. And we're winning at it, and they don't know what to do. We're taking the moral high ground from them every time.
That's like, these racist people like the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, they're tied to the Black Panthers. And, they hate Whitey and, shoot Whitey. But I posted, I support them. They have a right to defend their race and to support their race and to be armed doing so. I have no problem that they don't like me. I don't get so incensed because someone doesn't like me. This is America. We do have the freedom of association, and we don't have to hang out together, but we do have to have a mutual respect for each other's rights. And for me to want you to respect my rights, I have to respect yours, even if it's something that I don't agree with, which, like in what you're saying, is the Mothers Against Gun Violence. I'm talking about the racists, anybody. As long as you don't turn your weapon on me, we're good. You can hate me. You can chant up and down the street saying kill all white people. Okay, I'm cool with that. But you point your gun at me, and there's going to be a whole new set of problems that we're going to have to face.
Exactly. I'm totally 100% with you there.
Oh, here's something else that I found out. The thing in Garland, and that the draw. What's his name? What do they call that guy? That Muslim prophet. Anyway, it was draw the prophet. Yeah, that's it. Draw the prophet. Apparently, the Muslims don't like that. They don't like you drawing him in that kind of stuff, and especially when he's getting fucked by a pig or something. But anyway, they had that contest and stuff there, and so whenever the Muslims were there in Garland and they had that Up With Islam thing, and that there was other people there, and they were protesting against it and everything else, and so they go and they have this draw the prophet thing. Man, if I'd have known about that earlier, the $10,000 prize, I'd have been whooping that son gun out. But anyway, there was no Muslim protesters there. There wasn't a Muslim protester there, and none of them showed up to protest that. And I think that's kind of what tipped off them folks up there that something nasty was going to go down, because none of the Muslims were there to protest it. Oh, man, they're all about it and everything else. You can't draw the prophet. That's disrespectful and everything else. And there's the contest with a $10,000 prize going on, and they ain't there protesting it?
Exactly. And, that's something that we learned real quick the hard way in Iraq.
Told them not to come.
We knew stuff was coming up when there was no children on the street. When we were rolling through a town and all of a sudden all the kids were gone, we knew something was up.
Oh, you're talking about over in Iraq?
Oh, yeah. You know, that's the thing. That's the biggest way you can tell that they're getting ready to do something is they pull their people out. Normally when they're there rioting and all of a sudden they're not, it's a sign something's coming up.
Yeah, they don't want to be accidentally friendly fired on. You know, and it just lets me know that there was a larger conspiracy going on because that attack had to be communicated through their network and mosques and all this kind of stuff, and that, and so there's going to be a lot more folks come under fire because they didn't show up. Why didn't you show up?
Well, one of the two attackers was publicly known as being a Muslim, an Islamic moderate. He wasn't even supposed to be a radical. He was considered by the FBI, by his own community, and everybody around him as a moderate. Well, buddy, let me tell you, if that's a moderate, you know, it's about time. It's about time they do their bootstraps up and let's get this on.
Yeah.
Because if there's that many radicals and moderates here in our country, guess what? It's time that we do something about this. Let them do the bootstraps up. I'm ready for them. Let's get it on.
Well, the thing
just like you got a herd of cattle out in the field.
The thing that I thought that was pretty weird or upsetting or disturbing to me was that, first off, the location of the shooting. It happened at one of the far ends of the parking lot. Why would they? I don't know, man. I've seen videos of the Iraqis and Afghanistan Muslims. They have no weapons training and weapons discipline from the videos I've seen. And this incident goes to further prove that. I mean, you got two guys that were reportedly jumping out of a car with AK-47s. They shoot one guy in the leg before a guy with a pistol drops them both. And supposedly these guys had armor on. So how does that happen? I mean, first off, why would you shoot at a single guard out in the middle of a parking lot and not go after the crowd when they come out? If I was trying to make a scene or a statement, I would wait till the doors open and everybody came flooding out, and then you just dump into the crowd. The way they did it didn't make tactical sense.
It made no tactical sense whatsoever, but the project had ran long. It was supposed to have been over at 7.
It don't matter. I don't care.
They got tired of waiting.
I was there to... bullshit. Not if you're there to do what you're there to do. Anthony, when you guys were in theater, if it didn't come through when you thought it should, you didn't just go crazy and just shoot the first person you saw. You held position and waited till what needed to come through came through, right? Anthony got dropped again.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Anybody that's, I don't care, man. I'm not a heavily militarily trained tactician, but I know for fact that whenever you go to take care of a situation, you don't just, it's running late. You hold your target till it's time. And then that's when you go ahead and you do what you went there for. And the way these guys did it, to me, it seems more like either it's a false flag, maybe these guys were, conspiracy. They were hypnotized. Something is not right. Why would you drive all the way from Arizona and shoot a single guard in an empty parking lot instead of waiting for the target that you had drove several thousand miles to come deal with? It just doesn't make sense.
The other thing I can think of there, Casey, is that they were hoping to take out the guard and then be able to catch everybody on the inside so they couldn't run.
Well, there's a good thought.
Yeah, but the first guard that they shot was on the outer edge of the parking lot that wasn't even really close to where the meeting was. He
didn't have a gun either.
Yeah, but irregardless, there was a guy that was standing next to him in the close proximity that did, because he was able to take them both down with a pistol. And they had AK-47s. And they were supposedly, reportedly, body armor.
Yeah.
Well,
so where do you hit somebody that's wearing body armor?
Must not be sufficient.
Where do you hit somebody that's wearing body armor with a single shot and drop them dead in the head?
Yeah,
so
well,
I take my hat off to that gentleman was 60 years old, a traffic cop, 2 kills, 2 shots.
Yeah, but see, that's something else. Let's just say hypothetically you and I are standing side by side, and I watch your face explode. Do you think I'm going to stand there? I'm going to drop, find where the shot came from, and then especially when I'm holding a rifle and they're holding a pistol, I don't see how they're going to be able to overcome. I can't understand how the whole chain of events happened the way it did. It makes no tactical sense.
All I can say is praise God.
I think it actually speaks a lot to training. Apparently, they spent too much time following Muhammad and not doing rifle training, is what it sounds like to me. You know,
they were too busy humping goats, Bubba.
Oh man, you know, I know from our experience in Iraq there, when we first got there, they were not trained at all. They couldn't. I mean, you know, it was pathetic. But I can tell you now they're a lot better trained than they were when we first got there for several reasons.
Well, yeah.
Because we trained them. Exactly. We've trained them, and we've got other countries out there training them also. And so some of those guys are pretty formidable now. You know, these homegrown terrorists, as they like to call them, you know, Muslims that are raised here in America from children up and everything, they're not getting the weapons training that others would. And so we're going to see I believe we're going to see quite a bit of mixed results in this. I mean, you're going to get some of these cells that are completely couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag, and then you're going to find others that are going to be quite trained. You know, I know here in our local area, when we talk about guns and, you know, prepper stuff and, you know, that kind of stuff, it's a discussion that we have in multiple groups at different levels. We've got a lot of illegals in our area, and it's getting to the point that even the illegals are going out and training. They're starting their own little militias, and these are illegal criminals within our own area, but they're out training also. And so, I mean, if our illegal immigrants from south of the border are doing that, what makes us think that these cells within America are not training amongst themselves? Are we getting some of these smaller groups that are, like I said, couldn't fight their way out of a brown paper bag and they're a bunch of pansies? Will we get quite a few of those to start with? Yeah. And then we're going to get arrogant and think that, you know, they're really no threat at all. It's a bunch of guerrilla scouts out there with pea shooters and they can't really do anything. And then the train groups are going to start hitting us. And then that's when we're going to wake up.
Yeah, they're gonna let you think, they're gonna let you get complacent, thinking everything's gonna be a fucking walk in the park, and that's when they're gonna hit you with something else.
Well, and that's that's the thing that we remind all of our people at all levels. If it's fighting terrorism on our home soil or defending ourselves against a corrupt government, when blood starts to flow, it's not pretty. It's not going to be fun, and it's not going to be glorious.
It's got a damn
war is
to it.
very nasty by nature. And that's what I don't understand about the ROEs that they put our troops under now. You know, it's like they're trying to use our troops as police, and troops are not intended nor should be expected to act like police. They are there for a purpose, and that is to win the objective at all costs necessary.
And that means
when you're
to kill.
When you're taking human life, you know, that's as brutal and archaic as you can get. And that's the only way you're going to win and defeat people is through brutality. They're not going to take it because you slap them. All you're going to do is piss them off. You have to kill them brutally for them to understand.
Well, let's talk about this real quick here, Casey. When we went in, we were actually one of the first rotations in after the invading force when we went into Iraq. And people need to actually think this through and think about what it actually means. We've got a government, and most of the rules of engagement are being set by politicians. They're not really being set by our military strategists. They're actually being set by our politicians. They put rules of engagement on us when we went in. We couldn't return fire when fired upon unless we had an 06 or above permission to return fire. Okay, this is American troops in a foreign land in a combat zone, and we weren't even authorized to return fire unless we called Daddy and got his permission to return fire.
It don't work that way here, Bubba.
If our government is willing to put our boys in that kind of danger, what do you think the laws and the restrictions they're going to attempt to place upon the citizens that they see as slaves when the balloon goes up? What do you think they're going to try to enforce upon us when the time comes?
Well,
they're doing that to our American. Go ahead.
Well, the thing that I see is screwed up is they put those ROEs on you guys over there against people that were trying to kill us, that we were trying to conquer. Yet over here, the ROEs are a lot more wide open. Oh, he ran from me, so boom. Or I thought he had a weapon. You know, I mean, over here is more like a combat zone, and over there is more like a police state. I mean, it's kind of reversed if you ask me.
Well, it actually is, but that's the thing, is they're not placing the rules of engagement upon the federal forces. I mean, that's themselves. They're going to place the rules of engagement upon us. They're going to make it illegal for us to defend ourselves. They're going to make it illegal for us to grow food for our families or support our families. That's what
they're trying to do that right now.
You bet they are.
And that's what they're doing right now. It is a war. They are. Look what they've done with water. Everybody has to have water. What have they done? They've siphoned off the water from California and have taken it away from people under the pretext of keeping a 3-inch fish alive that, you know, it ain't a person. It doesn't have anything to do. If anything, it should be seined out of the rivers and used for fertilizer.
Anthony, you're breaking up real bad. Anthony, you're breaking up real bad.
You got me better now?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, they're really raising havoc with this communication today.
Oh, they do that all the time, especially with the Rage Against the Machine platform. They seem to love to. It's either Blog Talk or the government or the cooperation of the two, because this is a frequent occurrence on this platform. I guess the name Rage Against the Regime they don't like too well, because that's usually what you'll hear on this platform is Rage Against the Regime.
Well, we already know that they're listening to us when you and I talk there, KC. I mean, anytime you and I get talking and everything, you know that they're looking about what you're going to do down in Texas or what we're going to do up here in Washington, because you and I have been talking. That's fact.
Yeah, hey, there's one thing I want to get in before we get too much farther into this, and I found out through a couple of different channels that people are having a hard time getting body armor. Patriots are having a hard time getting body armor. And there's one company that I know, and the reason I know about them, they're here where I live, in the town where I live. It's Steel Defender. And I'm going to plug them right now, because if you order off of their website or anything like that, they ship the same day. So if you know people that are looking for body armor in that, and they're not going to use it the way those two nut jobs did, have them get a hold of, look up steeldefender.com, and give David Cole a shot over there, and he will get your order out the same day. Okay, I'm done with that.
Nice. Yeah, I'll put that word out here too. But you can be looking at pretty soon here. There's already some states already trying to outlaw body armor. There's already some states that are that have outlawed gas masks, and there's other states that are attempting to do the same thing. They do not want us having stuff that equalizes the field. I can guarantee you that.
Well, it's something that everybody needs. I don't care if you just go into the range and that wearing a light vest with plate and that. I mean, accidents happen everywhere, and that, and you know, it's just a good idea, you know. And you know, I mean, this stuff is threat level 3 certified and all that. I mean, you know, it's got the Line-X on it. There ain't no spalling or anything like that. The Austin Police Department did studies on it, and the only thing that popped a hole in it was a 338 Lapua.
Nice.
So it's some badass shit. And then that 338, there was no spalling from it at all. You had in that Line-X, it caught all the spall in between the plate and the Line-X. Just and whenever they cut that Line-X off that piece of armor, it was just you could see the fragments of the shell. And, you know, it was just amazing. And that stuff's fantastic. So I know it's good. I can talk about it because I know it's good. I can personally tell you that I know it is good. And I can personally tell you that if you order it, and Dave, if you don't have a computer and that kind of stuff, you know, you can get Dave's address there for Steel Defender here in Hawkins, Texas, and you can mail him a money order with you know, with your order, and when he gets the money order, he puts it in the mail. He sends your stuff to you that day. No ifs, ands, oh cracks about it, and they've got stock on the floor. Nobody else has stock on the floor, but these guys, they supply it. They're 100% into it. They want to make sure that everybody has what they need, and you know, that's why I plug them, because they're doing one hell of a job. And I think
nice.
they believe it.
If you have a contact, personal contact in that company, have them get a hold of us out here at our Arms Expo website. It's www.arms-expo.com. And maybe we can...
let me write that. Hang on a second. I got to write that down because I will not remember.
Yeah, Steel Defender has been a big-time Patriot supporter. They've supported me. They've done things to help me. Those guys are great American patriots, and, you know, my hat goes off to them. And, you know, they really do have a quality product. Arms-Expo.
Arms-Expo.com.
That's correct. Or else you can just go to Facebook, and there we have a group, Liberty for All Arms Expo, and that's our Facebook webpage, or excuse me, our Facebook link. And then from there you can get all of our personal and our public Facebook pages and watch what we're doing. There's a lot of information on there.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Okay, let me see if I got that right. I've got arms-expo.com.
Correct.
Got it. I'll make sure he gets a hold of it, and you should be hearing from him shortly in the morning.
Nice. Yeah, because, you know, even if they can't send a crew out to participate in everything, if they want to, you know, send us some stuff to raffle off to help support what we're doing, and send us some business cards and some flyers and, you know, some signs, we'll definitely promote his shop. We'll definitely promote the product and everything. If they want to help us at the Arms Expo, just simply by sending us some stuff for us to put up at the Arms Expo, because we're trying to do you know, promote anything patriotic, anything that shows liberty and preparedness. So yeah, have them just send us a box of stuff that we can put up for them.
Absolutely. I'll talk to them tomorrow. Good deal. Good deal. Glad I brought it up.
Nice. And, always let your people know that, there's also a donation site on there, and we provide public accountability for every penny spent, where it was spent and everything. We don't use any of it for our own selves. If we drive somewhere, we use our own money. If we stay overnight somewhere, we use our own money. All the donations go directly to the Liberty Fight, for the expo or just different stuff for the different rallies we have, but we account for every penny of it, and we show it publicly.
Fantastic. And I'm telling you, man, you're a blueprint. You're a walking frickin' blueprint.
That's what I keep telling people. If anybody has any questions on how things should be organized and how things should be done, they need to get a hold of Anthony Bosworth in Washington State. I've screamed your name. I can't tell you how many times, Anthony. I'm highly impressed with the group of people you have, yourself, your wife, your team. You guys are doing it the right way, and I wish that you could be emulated all across the country. You guys are the shining light, in my opinion, as far as people doing it the right way, bringing people together under the liberty. And I commend you. You guys are awesome.
Well, we do our best. Basically, we've all come to the conclusion that we're patriots that have had enough, and we're standing on the line, and we will not be moved, Casey. And we've went toe-to-toe already with Homeland Security several times, and we've forced them to back down every time, even though they were using snipers on roofs against us. We stood the line, and we made them back down, and we told them, we're willing to give all right now. Are you? And so far, we've backed it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that we've backed them down every time because we have already made the decision unanimously amongst ourselves personally that we know what we're willing to give. We know how far we're willing to stand that line, and they're not ready for the fight. They're not ready to take it where we're willing to go. The last time I met with Homeland Security out there in front of the federal building, they asked, well, what can we do to make this safe? And I told them, gather your men up, go back inside and stay there. Do not touch one of our people. Do not fire upon our people, because we're telling you right now, anything you do, we will do in kind in return. And that's not a threat. We're telling you who we are and what we're willing to do. You fire upon us, we will fire back. We will defend ourselves. And we will take moral high ground from you. And it's worked every time. But, we don't scream and holler and act like a bunch of thugs or anything. We go there resolute, we go there professional, but we go there standing firm every time.
Yeah, when I saw when you went to court, you rated the 3 DHS vehicles like I did. The only difference between your extra added security and mine was mine had full battle rattle on. And your name was brought up. They said that one of the reasons for the heightened security was because of that guy from Washington. So I'm like, oh, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that there, brother. Because I had snipers on the roof, and I had, almost 20 agents and battle rattle all around the courthouse. And then
you should really do me a little write-up on that, Casey. Hey, Casey, you should do me a little write-up on that so I can post it over here in Washington so the people can see, a testimony of how far-reaching our standing is reaching. I think that'd be a good thing, a good promotional thing for us to be able to put out there and show people how far it is actually reaching. And just so that you know, we had federal agents in full body armor and riot gear also. They were just a couple blocks away in a van staying out of the view of the cameras.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me take pictures the first time. They were like, no, it's a crime to take a picture of the courthouse. I said, I don't want to take a picture of the courthouse. I want to take a picture of you guys standing here in your superhero suits. No, we don't want to be photographed. Well, man, I mean, come on, I told them y'all look cute. And if anybody starts firing, I want you to know I'm going to stand behind that big guy right there. I'm going to stand behind you. No, I don't get paid to take that. Bullshit. You got guns and automatic, you got automatic H&K rifle and full body armor, shit, I'm hiding behind you. You get paid, I don't.
Well, Casey, you know what I tell them when they say that you can't legally take a picture of a courthouse or a picture of them? I just tell them, hey, just pretend that I'm from Missouri. Show me.
Yeah, I don't even see. Well, like the federal courthouse down here, you can't even have a cell phone on the premises. If they, if you try to come on the premises with a cell phone, now the courtyard's very small. It's immediate to the entrance. So it's not like there's a big area like in front. The video that I saw of the courthouse where you guys were at had a bigger entryway. But down in Brownsville, it's not that big. And so it's like steps, and then you're in the door. And they don't allow people to be standing around out there with cameras or phones. You have to be across the street. So my phone at the time, because I had to go in, was in the vehicle. So I didn't have it, and neither did anybody that went in with me. None of us had cameras or recording equipment. Now, the second time when I went to court, I drove by the courthouse prior to my court time, which was at 2 o'clock that afternoon. And when I drove by at 11 that morning, there was nobody there. When I drove back by at 2 and got out to go to court, there was a heavy presence all around. And that's when all the boys in blue was out shining in their glory and giving me a welcoming committee.
Yeah, I hear you there. I know when I called in to the court to get some information on my case, I went to give them the case number, if you will, and the clerk that answered the phone told me that, oh, I don't need the case number. I know exactly who you are. And it's like, man, can you not at least play along here? I'm supposed to call in. You're not supposed to know me. You're supposed to make me give you a number, and then you're supposed to look me up. Can't we just play that for a little bit? But yeah.
That's like they all know who I was.
Well, the funny thing about it was, Casey, is when we went into the courthouse on this last time, it come time, I stayed outside the courthouse until the last moments, just enough time to get upstairs to the courtroom. And I went in to go through security, and they asked me for an ID, and I said, I don't have any. And they said, well, you got to have ID to get in the federal courthouse. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any ID on me. And they asked, well, why don't you have ID on you? And I said, well, because the last time you guys had me in here, you locked me up and threw it on the floor and walked on it. I ain't going to give you the chance to do that now. I said, that's why I'm in here still. I have nothing for you guys to disrespect. And they said, well, you got to have ID to get in here. And I said, ain't my problem. I'm here against my will. You go tell the judge that you wouldn't let me in. I said, I don't want to be here. You can tell me to go home. I'd gladly go home. And, yeah, it was quite funny. They didn't like the idea that I didn't have any ID. And they said, well, you got to have it. And I said, not in the state of Washington. Well, this is a federal courthouse. I said, I'm here against my will. I said, I can play this game all day long. I said, do you want me to go to court or do you want to send me home? They don't know what to do with stuff like that.
Exactly.
Man, I keep reading what Louis Gohmert has said. I've got it up here on the screen, and it doesn't comfort me to know that he knows, because if they do decide to do something like you were talking about, it's going to be friggin' horrendous. There's going to be a lot of change. And I keep wondering, why Texas? Why Texas? And then I got to thinking about it, and what does Texas have? We've got oil wells, we've got refineries, we've got manufacturing, we've got, oil wells and refineries? Haven't we went somewhere else over oil wells and refineries before? Is that what they think, that they can come in and take our natural resources? Has it gotten that bad where they think they can annex us that way?
Well, I think it's all about control. It's all about squashing free thought. That people thinking for themselves. Basically, if you actually take a look at maps and start checking it out, you will find that your conservatives in America are all starting to migrate to certain areas. So they're making strongholds just by population of conservatives, real strong conservative pockets. And that's what they don't want. When we were split up and spread all over the United States, we were easy to control and stifle with the vote. But now we're starting to group up in groups all over America, in communities and states and portions of states, and we're creating strongholds, and we're voting in local laws that protect us, and the federal government does not want that. They do not want us building cities and counties that are for liberty and that we can defend ourselves in, because if we build a county and a city that is for liberty, if we move to those areas and convert those areas to largely populated conservative strongholds, we can throw the federal government out of those areas, and the federal government knows that. And once we do that, it'll spread. Other communities will start doing it. So that's why they're trying to break up these real strong conservative communities around the United States.
Well, they come to Texas and try that crap, they're going to wind up with the same thing that happened to them other boys in Garland. You know, I mean, folks here ain't going to take it. And they won't put up with it.
I just hope that the people wake up and stand up while we still got time, you know, before it's too far gone. Because if we wait too long, it's going to be really bloody coming back. And the sad thing about it is, it'll be our children's blood. You know, it'll be them fighting for what we give away.
Hey, here's something that I just found out on Mr. Gohmert's website is Congressman Gohmert is the vice chair of the Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security, and the chairman of the National Resources Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations. And this guy doesn't like what he saw. And he runs those things.
Yeah, that's probably
I think it's a little more serious.
He's privy to some information we're not.
And it's when he comes out that strong on stuff like that, and I mean, this guy, he's the chair of the Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security. You know, and he's got a problem with the way that they labeled Texas as being hostile, and that and coming down here to play war games against us and that kind of thing. So it's a little more serious than just all you're a little crazy and paranoid. You know, they may decide to back all the way off of it and go the other way because they're meeting this kind of resistance and their whole card's been pulled.
Well, one thing we need to remember also when we're looking at this Jade Helm and, you know, all the militarization of the police forces and stuff like that, we've got to think back a little bit and remember back in the early to mid 2000s, around the time we entered Iraq, after 9/11, they declared all of America a war zone on the war on terror, and that wasn't an accident. There's a deliberate reason they declare all of America a war zone. It actually gives them, in their minds, mind you, it gives them legitimate cause to be doing what they're doing right now. In their minds, America is a war zone. What we got to pay attention to is who they're calling the terrorists that they're going after. It's not ISIS that they're going after. It's the veterans they're going after. It's your conservative Christians they're going after. It's your preppers they're going after. Anybody that's against abortion they're going after. I mean, they're going after anybody that stands up for the Constitution, stands for life, stands for their religious beliefs. those are the people they're calling terrorists. And remember, back in the early 2000s, they declared all of America a war zone against for war on terror. Now they're starting to name their enemy. They're not hiding it. They're doing it right in front of us. They're telling us who the war on terror is against, and it's us. It's not against ISIS. And people are just saying the government won't do that to us. Bull, they've already declared all of America a war zone. They've already named who the potential enemy is. Us. They're not saying Christians from Mexico. They're not saying, constitutionalists from Iran. They're saying constitutionalists from America. They're saying Christians, American Christians. They're telling us who their enemy is. They've already told us it's a war zone. I mean, what else does the American people got to be told by these people for Americans to wake up and realize where we're at and who we're fighting?
And that's a shame because, all people really have to do is listen to the language they use. Listen to what they said. Look at who is on the DHS top domestic terrorist list. It's us. It's the white, Christian, constitutionalist. We are the top of the list for domestic terrorists. Just like this shitbag that was involved in this Mohammed Drawing shooting. He's been on the radar since '06. And they haven't done anything to him, and he was a known jihadist. And then he turns around and opens fire and shoots an innocent person.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let's look back to who's to really blame for this. I was participating in the discussion in what was supposed to have been a patriot group here in Washington, and when the shooting come out about the drawings of Muhammad and everything, here's where we need to be cautious. We have a patriot, was supposed to be a patriot that most of the time that says the right things, that stands for the right things, but this gentleman come out and said, and this is speaking of the woman, I can't remember her name off the top of my head now, but he's speaking of the woman that put the event on to draw Muhammad's picture.
Pam Geller.
He's speaking of her, and his complaint was, this woman is crazy. She's going to get us all killed. She's telling us to stand up against these people and draw pictures of them and then riot. Dude, where did you just come from? You're supposed to be a patriot, and you're saying that a woman saying that us exercising our First Amendment right and drawing a picture of Muhammad is inciting a riot? You know what? If I want to draw a picture of Muhammad and it pisses off 10,000 Muslims, so be it. And if they have the right to choice, if they want to come after us, let them come after us. But we have the right to choice of self-defense. But it doesn't mean we cower in a corner because we draw a picture of Muhammad and it might offend somebody. And this is supposed to be a patriot talking? Where do we live?
I'm more offended that they're cutting people's heads off than any cartoon could ever offend me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Exactly.
Hey,
we don't violate anybody's rights by drawing a cartoon.
Yeah, right.
Check this out. I've just found another post here in regards to Jade Helm. In the past 48 hours, I've received multiple communications from Michigan regarding the call-up of National Guard to active duty status beginning July 15th, 2015. Here's one. Dear Dave, my cousin is in the Michigan National Guard. He's been called to active duty on July 15. Doesn't that correspond to the formal beginning of Jade 15? He said that the drills are going to take place in northern Michigan, and it involves the relocation of large populations from imminent danger.
Well, here's the irony of that, James. Northern Michigan is a very country area, and those guys in northern Michigan are some diehard, solid patriots. There's some good militia members up there. There's some good people. The northern part of Michigan is nothing like Dearbornistan or any of the other Detroit, the degenerative, run-down parts, that's mainly rural up there. It's country, and those guys are some staunch patriots.
Here's another one. It says, I spoke to a National Guard member, brother today, who is in the same platoon. He says the 2-month-long training is for the use of what he called strikers. You know what a striker is.
Yep.
And that, it's like a tank, but completely sealed from the outside, and is capable of being used in chemical and radioactive situations. And it's also outfitted with a 50 cal, and they're going.
Well, Anthony could probably tell us exactly what a striker is.
Oh, yeah, he's been in one or two.
Well, let me ask you this, and it follows the pattern. But think about what you just said. They're going to move large populations
from
to protect them from a dangerous area. So let me ask you this. In the middle of the night, these goons show up at your house in full body armor, and they say, for your protection, we're going to move you to this housing unit. How many Americans are so brainwashed that they're going to actually fall for that? The sad thing is, I'm telling you right now, lots of them will.
I think so.
But here's the thing. I can tell you now, large populations that they're going to move for their own safety, it's going to be the Patriots, brothers. It's going to be the Patriots. And they're going to do it under the guise of, we're doing it for your safety. We're coming and rounding you up and gathering you up for your safety. Well, guess what?
We're the government. We're here to help you.
Well, here's the thing I say. They don't need to gather up the Patriots and the conservatives for our safety. We're the ones with the guns, brother. We're the ones with the guns.
There's another rumor going around that a Texas Ranger had come across railroad cars that had been refitted to haul people, and that inside there were large mounds of shackles.
Well, here's the thing about that. We actually confirmed that. That is true. They're not even denying it anymore. That is actually true, and they're not even denying it anymore.
And, if you happen to notice any new sightings or railway work going on in your area, I have. And they're getting...
our complacency is what's cost us our country. Everybody being tied up in their own little world, doing their own little thing, instead of looking out for each other like we used to back in the day. Communities looked out for each other. We as communities used to be strong, and that's why people couldn't come and penetrate it. But when we started allowing the federal government to dictate our communities, segregation, desegregation, Section 8 housing so that they could move in, people that didn't have the financial wherewithal into communities where they had money, they started watering down our communities and destroying our communities. Just like in Dallas, they've got Section 8 housing in the affluent part of town. Now, when I grew up, assets and extras, cell phones, cable, nice cars, nice house, those were all the result of hard work. Nobody was handed any of that stuff because you don't deserve that. That's not something that is a right to have. That is something that you have to work to have. But see, the government has been giving it to people. Now people feel entitled like it's their right to have it, and it's not.
And they haven't earned
it.
And
that's also one of the things that's destroyed our communities.
Well, and that's the thing that we need to look at is, us as Americans, we have traded our right to things for the right to other things. They know they ain't going to just be able to take it from us, so they've got to trade us. They've got to trade us these rights to welfare, the right to all these nice things for us to trade them our liberties. It's the only way they can do it without an uprising. And they program a whole generation to think that they have a right to TV, a right to a new car, and get people focused on that, and people forget that they have the right to free speech, the right to pursue happiness, the right to be armed and to have the ability to defend oneself. Those are your true God-given birthrights, but they're fooling people by programming them that they have the right to a cell phone. They have a right to housing, provided by others, mind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that Obama phone gets paid by somebody, and it sure ain't the government, because they come and pick your pocket to get the money to do it. So, I don't know, dude. It's looking kind of shabby. KC, you may not get to court, bro.
Cars.
You may not get to court. You may be on an indoctrination train. Not funny. Not funny. What is your court date set? Is it in July?
Mine or Anthony?
Yours, Casey.
Mine is set for June.
Oh, well, you'll be free and free roaming by then, so that won't be a problem.
Well, I'd like to be able to be that optimistic, but it's obvious to me and apparent to me through the last 7 months that the law has no meaning, that the Constitution has no effect. These traitorous bastards that are in our government and in our judicial system have no regard or respect for the rule of law. It's all about pushing their agenda, pushing forward what they want. Just like in Baltimore, that corrupt prosecutor that filed all those charges against those officers and even said in her speech, this was for the youth that was destroying the city. I mean, you know, there's a point somebody has got to stand up. And, you know, Anthony, like I said, out of everybody that I know in these great United States, has stood up louder and prouder than anyone and has made a difference. You know, I don't know what it's going to take to kick it to the next level, because they're not going to stop. They haven't stopped.
Well, Casey, let me say this. You have also stood up. You have also stood the line. And the answer to what it's going to take to kick it to the next level, we look them right in their beady little scared eyes and we tell them, next move's yours.
Well, like in my case, their next move would be to try to reincarcerate me, especially for a crime that I didn't commit, which is going to cause a major problem with me.
Yeah,
I'm not willing to be a martyr.
It would cause a problem with me, too, if I had to go up for something I didn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 49 years old, and I very well understand that if you're going to do a crime, you best be prepared to do the time. And that's why I have elected for almost 30 years to not engage in criminal activity. But for whatever reason, the federal government doesn't care whether you're actually engaged or not. They just want to push their agenda. And now they're trying to make me suffer for a crime that I never committed, that constitutionally they have no authority. You know, the indictment against me is a false sham indictment. They used verbiage and words that are not even in the statute. They paraphrased the statute for my indictment. My indictment is a faulty indictment. The evidence that they seized in attempt to use against me, they illegally stole in violation of the Constitution. Then the charge that they're trying to charge me with is a violation of the constitutional authority of the United States government under the Commerce Clause.
And you know how they did it? Because they had a lot of guns, and they played gunboat diplomacy, and that ain't right.
Well, and here's the thing there.
The way you look at it, it ain't right.
Well, here's the thing there. when I talk about my case with people, that they're denying me a trial by jury, they're denying me an expedient trial, they're holding my guns when they have no legal recourse to hold the guns, just one violation after another. People ask, well, how can they do that? How can they do that? And my response to them is, well, who's to stop them? Well, that's against the law. And I said, well, we already know they don't follow the law. Well, that's against the Constitution. We already know they don't follow the Constitution. So I ask you again, who's to stop them?
Who's going to stop them?
What's to stop them? And there's only one answer. Us. That's the key. We are the only ones that can stop it. And if we don't, no one's to blame but ourselves.
That's fact. Trying to get people to stand up like you guys are doing in Washington is it's proved to be very difficult. James and I tried that down here in Texas when we were on the border. We tried to call out to Texans, to call out to militia, to call out to the Patriots. But, obviously it fell on deaf ears. We've got this problem, and Facebook exacerbates it, of these tough guy, Facebook hero patriots. And it's so much fun and stimulating to be on Facebook talking all this tough guy stuff when there's no actual actions being committed. You guys, Anthony, committed action. We committed action. But to try to get people to actually join in and actually do something is it's a whole nother situation, man. Because it's just not happening.
Standing up for your own rights. I mean that's
imagine
we
that.
can't do that, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's so much easier to talk all that tough guy stuff, on Facebook or on the internet. But when it comes to staring down the barrel of a gun or staring down the cartel, one of the most heinous criminal organizations on the globe, people's cojones didn't match up with their heart. Anybody that thinks that what we did on the border was just, you just ran around the border just having a good time. Okay. Well, why didn't you come down there and have the good time with us then? Why didn't you come down there and suffer through the 106-degree heat, sweating 20 hours a day we sweat, eating canned goods, facing the cartel, heinous murderers, brutal killers. Their bodies are still showing up all down along the southern border in Texas of people being dissected, people being burned, throats cut, heads chopped off. I mean, yeah, those guys, it was all fun and games, man. We just had a good old time down there playing with the cartel. But you still got all these guys talking tough.
Well, that, Casey, is just another extension of the welfare state. Even your ultra-conservative, self-proclaimed patriots out there, they're still welfare bums. They are. I mean, for the most part, even as conservative as half of them are, even though they get up and jump up and down and call themselves patriot, I'm here to tell you they're no different than the person downtown with their hand out for a welfare check, because most of the self-proclaimed patriots in America are welfare bums themselves, and here's why. Because they want to live the American dream at the expense of kc-massey out there earning that freedom for them, fighting for that freedom for them. They want that freedom. They want to live that American dream, but guess what? They don't want to pay the time to earn it. They just will sit back and collect their patriot welfare and let kc-massey earn it for them. That's the problem. And whenever you hear a conservative start talking about welfare state, that they're taking tax money to pay for these welfare people, you remind that patriot that they're no better, because they ain't doing anything but letting other patriots earn their freedom for them anyway.
Yep. I agree with you 100%.
You got to be
I
that
never
brutal.
looked at it like that. That's hell yeah.
You got to be that brutal with these people. I mean, either shame them into standing up or else put them in their place. You call yourself a patriot, I don't want to hear your crap. What have you done for your children today? When was the last time you fought for your children's freedom? If you have it daily, don't call yourself a patriot in my face, because you're not. And that's what I tell these people. Don't play games with me. If you ain't standing up fighting for your own children's and your grandchildren's liberties every single day, you ain't doing your job. You ain't earning your share. Because you know what? I signed a blank check for this country, and so did so many other people. And you sit there and can't even defend your own liberties here back at home. You can't even defend your own children's liberties. You're living off the blood of your children, because what you give away today, your children's going to have to spill blood to get it back. They should be ashamed of themselves. You got me started now, Casey.
Well, and there was one of the other things that used to make me upset is, well, I can't afford to this or that. Well, hold on a minute. Who said that I could afford it? Who said that I didn't have to sacrifice? And James can tell you, I spent and lost over $30,000. I spent $20,000 supporting the mission, and then I lost another $10,000 by the stuff that was seized from me and property that was stolen from me from, quote, patriots down at Camp Lone Star after I was incarcerated. And that's not counting the tens of thousands of dollars that I've lost because I'm unable to go out and solicit and get work, because I'm stuck saving the government money while I'm incarcerated in my own home. And people say they can't afford it. Well, first off, what happened to the old premise that you don't ever get what you can't afford? My grandfather and my dad to this day, will not buy anything that he cannot pay for cash at the most within 3 months. If he will not have the money to pay for cash within 3 months, he's not going to buy it. But now the government has sold us this bill of goods, this bullshit, that, just get it on credit. So you've allowed yourself to be enslaved to the society, and you're not willing to give up cable TV. You're not willing to give up all your niceties so you can go defend the freedom of this country. Well, I got news for you, jackasses. You're going to lose it all. You think you can't do without this or that now? Wait till the shit hits the fan. Then let's see who has to do without what.
And let's take it to a different place there a little bit further, Casey. They can't afford it? Well, you tell me how many lifetimes and how many lives their children can afford. How many lives do their children have? Only one. How many lifetimes does their children have? Only one. And they're spending their children's life and lifetime right now. Because now if their children wants to live for free, they've got to spend their life and their lifetime fighting for what their parents have spent. They spent that freedom. They allowed it to be stolen from them. It's not our freedom. The generation before us earned our freedom. Now it's our job to earn the next generation's freedom. And this generation is not doing it. They're giving it away. They're giving it away.
That's going to go from 3% to 1%.
Exactly.
It's a shame,
it's not
man.
funny, man. That's fucked up, man. It's got to go from 3% to 1%.
Well, here's my relief to this whole thing. I don't give one rat shit about the government or how corrupt and crooked they are, because I will fight until my death. And at which point I do leave this earth, I have no doubt where the rest of my days will be spent. So I'm not concerned at all with dying or sacrificing my life in support of this country so that the other generations, like Anthony said, can live a free life. And I don't mean free as in welfare free. I mean free as in liberty free. And so I have no hesitation to fight for this country to my death. The tree of liberty has to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots alike. But the problem is we've got all these tough guy people talking all this tough guy shit, and they're not willing to spill their own blood. They're not willing to put forth the actual suffering and effort that it's going to take to regain our country. Instead, they just want to keep doing this mouth action. And we're going to have to, like Anthony said, we're going to have to shame those people into shutting up and getting out of the way so that we can take a true count of what we have, so that we can devise a plan to be the most effective for what resources we have.
Exactly. And you know, in reality, the most effective way of fighting this is to draw your line in the sand, stand on it, and don't move.
Well, I've drawn my line.
Amen to that, brother. Well, hey, Casey, I'm going to have to let you go here. I've got to return to the fight here in the great state of Washington, and it was nice being on your show again, and I hope to do it again soon.
Absolutely, Anthony. I appreciate it. We are at the end of the show anyway, but thank you very much for coming on. I enjoy having you on each and every time. You're a role model for all patriots to follow, you and your group. Please extend our thanks to your wife and for all that she does for the group and your entire group from Texas. Send our thanks, send our appreciation, and we really appreciate all that you guys do. You're a shining star for the Patriot community. So thank you again for coming on. And with that, I'm going to let James take us out, and then we're going to play Pissed Off Rednecks again.
All right.
Thanks, Anthony.
You too, brother. Keep your powder dry.
Well, fellas, about the only thing I can think that we might need right now is prayer. And I'm going to recite the Lord's Prayer and take a minute to give him thanks and ask for his protection in these times. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, Lord, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. God bless America, and may we bring our country back to the glory that our founders founded it on. And it's going to take the hard work and dedication of all who consider themselves patriots. So with that, we're going to play Pissed Off Rednecks and call it a night. Thanks again, Anthony. Thanks, James. God bless America.
The hallmark of Jimmy Johnson's championships has been...
The home of the